So, welcome again to a new lecture. So, today we will start our discussion on p-n junction diode and look at the characteristics in the context of solar cells. We will first recap last few lectures and then we will move on to the contents of this lecture. So, just to give you a recap, so far what we have learnt is we first learnt about the solar radiation, where we knew what kind of radiation is, what kind of geometry sun and earth make with respect to how do you measure the intensity, what kind of angular relationships are there to measure the radiation correctly. And then we learnt about the semiconductors, what kind of semiconductors are there, what is the relation of doping with respect to carrier concentration as well as with respect to conductivity and also the influence of temperature on mobility, etc. So, we looked at the fundamentals of semiconductors and then we looked at the basically you can say carrier movement, and finally we looked at recombination and generation in semiconductors. So, these three topics lay the foundation of basically how the carriers are, how do the carrier concentration changes in a semiconductor under presence of various kind of stimuli or under various conditions of operation. So, I suggested few books on the course of teaching this part. So, I strongly recommend you to go through these books to brush up your to get the knowledge in detail, because we did not have time to go through all the derivations and mathematical relations, but it would be useful for you to go through those. Now, we start with a new topic today which is again essential to understand the p-n junction diode. And why we want to understand p-n junction diode is because a solar cell is nothing but a diode, okay, and diode is built on what we call as a p-n junction. So, what we do here is essentially we have a p-type semiconductor and we have an n-type semiconductor of certain thickness. So, this is p, this is n, and they make a diode when you join them together. So, essentially a diode, so when you join them together, when you create a junction between the two, then when you measure the IV characteristics of such a device, then the IV characteristics, this is current, this is voltage, you get a behavior which is something like this kind of behavior. So, on the positive voltages, which is also called as forward bias, there is exponential increase in the current and you get large currents, and at reverse bias, which is at the negative voltage. So, this is reverse bias, we get very small current. So, this is basically you can say reverse current I naught, which is very small in magnitude, and so if you use it, you can use it as a switch. So, in this condition, if you use it as a diode as a switch, this is on condition, this is off condition. Now, this is under dark, okay, or when it does not work as a solar cell, you use materials which do not make it work as a solar cell. You can use materials and in such a fashion so that this becomes a solar cell device and it gives you a IV curve which is so this is for a normal p-n junction diode. For a solar cell diode under light, you will have this kind of behavior essentially. So, our objective is to first see how do we get this kind of curve from a diode, and then how do you get the other kind of curve when you illuminate a p-n junction diode. So, essentially in the context of solar cell, we can say this is under dark and this is under light. So, our objective is to understand how do you get these two curves based on whatever background we have built upon on the basis of semiconductor knowledge, basic knowledge. So, this current is essentially given as I is equal to, you can say I naught into exponential of QV divided by NKT minus 1. Okay. So, this is the at reverse bias. So, this is your saturation current in the reverse bias, and as you keep increasing the voltages, the current exponentially increases and you get very large current from the diode. So, this I note is the pre-exponential factor. So, this is the pre-exponential factor, not the saturation. So, we will see how do we get to it. Okay. Now, let us see first what a PN junction is. So, PN junction, so if we say that we have a PN junction like this, so this is before you have made a contact. Before contact, if you draw the band diagram, this would be your, and let us say both of them are silicon. So, this is also silicon, this is also silicon, this is P silicon, this is N silicon, and the reason you are taking it as because the band gap of both of them will remain same. You can take different semiconductors also, that is what you do in heterojunction when you have a PN junction which is based on two different semiconductors, but we will begin with this identical band gap. So, we take silicon which has a band gap of about 1.1 electron volt, and we take P silicon and N silicon. So, for P silicon, this is for N silicon, conduction band edge, valence band edge, before making a contact, the Fermi level of P type will lie somewhere here. So, this is depending upon the doping level, you will have Fermi level of P, and depending upon the doping level of N, you will have EF N. So, essentially you are saying that this material is P type. So, P type basically means that you have acceptor kind of materials. So, acceptor will give you have various ions. So, these are, let us say, some of the ions are negatively charged, let us say these are acceptor impurities. Other than this, you will also have silicon atoms, and on top of this you will have holes. So, holes will be this positively charged species inside. Okay. And here you might have a situation something like this, you will have these donor atoms. So, I am not drawing the silicon atoms because you will have silicon atoms also, okay, and then you will have electrons. So, this will be electron free extra electrons which are caused. This is before you create a contact. So, what happens when you and the intrinsic, sorry, I need to just draw the intrinsic Fermi level. The intrinsic Fermi level will be identical for both of them. So, this is EFI, all right. Now, what happens when you join them together? When you join them together, the thermodynamic requirement is that the Fermi levels of two semiconductors must align with each other, and they must be constant at the equilibrium. So, when that happens is, so when you join them, after joining, so after joining we say that Fermi level is, so this is now EFN is equal to EFP. If this is the case, deep inside the semiconductor somewhere here, the conduction and valence band are at the same distance. So, this is the position of conduction and valence band which remains the same. Here also the conduction and valence band situation remains the same, but at the interface you have a what we call as band bending. So, this is band bending at the interface, all right. Now, the region which is at the interface, so this is the original interface, let us say. The region up to which bands bend in both the sides is called as we will see, it's called as depletion region, and these regions are called as bulk of semiconductors. So this is bulk, this is also bulk. Now what you see here is band bending. Bending of bands mean you have a gradient, and gradient, so this is x, this is a distance x, and this is energy. If you have a variation in energy as a function of distance, which means you have a built-in electric field, because E is proportional to V, you can relate, energy can be related to potential, you just have to minus and correlate to the electron charge. So since E can be related to V, V is related to electric field, and since there is a variation in the potential in the device, you have an electric field. So this is called as built-in electric field. We will see what it is. So now if you look at this device, before you make a contact, first let us plot the, so before contact, first if I want to plot the charge density as a function of distance, so on P side, on N side, so this is for N side, this is for P side. So if I plot P plus density, so my density is like this, okay, and in the N, P plus is very small, there is very little P plus in, this is X, this is X, and somewhere here you have interface, right, before the contact. So this is the positive charge carrier density. Positive charge carrier density is very high in P type semiconductor, positive charge density is very small in N type semiconductor. Now when you plot so this is Nd plus, so P plus is hole density, this is donor density. Donor density is very small in P type semiconductor, but donor density is very large in N type semiconductor, alright. So this is something like that, depending upon the thickness you will have. Similarly, you can plot what is the electron density, and you can plot the acceptor density, alright. So this is acceptor. So electron density in holes will be, in P type semiconductor, will be very small if you take negative as the connotation. In this case, sorry, I can draw the line above to make it a little clearer. If I draw the line here, so electron density will be very small for N type, for P type, and it will be very large for, okay. Similarly for Na now, so this is N minus, minus and plus are written just to depict the positive and negative charge density, and this is Na minus. Na minus would again be, so if I again redraw these lines, X, all of them are X, okay. So Na minus would again be, it is large for this and very small for this, okay. So P type has very large hole concentration and very large acceptor concentration, N type has very large electron concentration and donor concentration. As a result, the net charge density, if you plot, the net charge density in both P and N type will be equal to 0. So if you plot rho, rho is the net charge density in both of these semiconductor, it will be 0, because positive and negative charge P plus plus Na minus plus N minus plus Nd plus is equal to 0, right, in a semiconductor before making a contact. So if that is the case, then this is before the contact. Now let us see what happens after the contact. When you draw after the contact, then I am not going to draw the whole device here. So this is let us say P plus. So at after contact just at time t is equal to 0, okay, just when they are put together, just right at this time. So, P plus I am going to plot P plus, I am going to plot ND plus, then I am going to plot Na. So, this is going to be N minus, this is going to be Na minus, and then I plot rho, okay. So, you can see that if this is the interface, it would be something like this, right. Nd plus would be something like, if I use a different color, it would be something like this. N minus would be in this case very small, in this case it would be very large, and then Na minus would be, in this case it is very large, in this case it would be very small, alright, and the net charge density would be equal to 0. This is at time t is equal to 0, okay. So, this is 0, this is 0. So, you can see that now when you put them together, there is a gradient in each of the charge. You can see that there is a gradient in positive charge, there is a gradient in the negative charge. So, what will happen is that when you stick them together, there is a gradient. So, after contact, first you have a gradient in N and P to drive diffusion, right. So, you can say that Jp diffusion, you have a hole gradient. So, you have hole and electron gradient. So, you can say Jp diffusion will be minus of q dp into dp by dx, right. So, holes move in this direction and current also is in same direction, okay. And then you have electron current, which is Jn diffusion, which is equal to you can say plus q dp into dn into dn by dx. And in this case the electron current is in so electron, let us say concentration is on electrons on this side, then current will move to other side, okay. So, you have this. So, this is very similar to what you do when you mix, let us say examples could be, you mix ink in water, right. You will see slowly the ink diffuses into the water to make a uniform solution, right. So, this is what it will happen. So, you would assume that when you have a gradient, charges will go a long way, but charges do not go a long way away from the interface because there are Coulombic forces inside the material which pull them back. So, what happens there is, so you create this region, so this is the interface, you create this region which is called as a region which is depleted of charges. So, this is called as depletion region. So, basically what happens is that to counteract the diffusion, since you have a diffusion gradient, but you also have electric field gradient. So, electric field counters the diffusion. So, as a result you have a, so although diffusion would allow you to have the charges going all the way into all the way on both sides into semiconductors, the drift current counteracts it because of presence of electric field. You have seen that you have band bending at the interface, and this band bending leads to electric field, and this electric field prevents the opposite, basically it is opposite to the diffusion current. So basically what happens is that when you form this barrier at the interface, so let us say this is the barrier. So essentially what you have is, you have a Fermi level which is, so this is EFN is equal to EFP. You have, so this is P side, you have lot of holes on this side, but you have few electrons on this side, right. On the other hand, you have lot of electrons on this side, but you have few holes on this side. So obviously you have a, so this is E gradient, E concentration gradient, N, you can say N gradient, this is P gradient. So you have a driving force for diffusion to occur. But you can see also one thing, because of band bending at the interface, these electrons now have to overcome an energy barrier. And holes on the other side, see, for electrons positive energy is the barrier, and for holes negative energy is the barrier. For holes also there is a barrier on this side, and this barrier is created by the band bending at the interface, which is manifested in the form of electric field. So while you have an electron gradient and hole concentration gradient to drive the diffusion, the counteracting force comes from the electric field. So basically this delta V, whatever is present here, this delta V prevents the electron and hole flow from going them further into the device. So what happens is that when the diffusion takes place, diffusion does take place in the within this region, the electron and holes which come from each side, they recombine. As a result, this region becomes completely free or devoid of charges. There are no free charges in this region, and further movement of charges is prevented by this built-in electric field, which does not allow the charges to cross over on the either side, because you require an energy barrier delta V to be overcome to allow the flow of carriers to either side. So now if you plot the various things inside the semiconductor, so you have energy band diagram something like this. This is EF, this is EC, this is EV, and this is delta V. This delta V is nothing but difference of ECN minus EFN minus EFP, because both the Fermi levels were different. Now they have to align, which means the difference is the difference in, so this barrier is nothing but same as the Fermi level difference. So if you now plot various properties, so let us say first we do the hole concentration. So let me just plot. So this is first is the, this is as a function of x. If I plot the hole concentration is like this. Of course, it is very small in this region, and it becomes very small in the depletion region, or 0 in fact in the depletion region. Okay. So this is P. Now if you plot ND, this is ND now. ND is very large in this region, but this is the interface, the original interface. It's small up to this region, but then again it goes, because ND is the donor ion density, they do not recombine, they do not move, it is the free carriers which are moving. The donor and acceptor atoms have not moved, they are the atoms, they do not move, it is the carrier which is moving. So you have not moved the donor atom, which is staying there. Now if you do the same thing for hole and for electron, so this electron concentration is like this, whereas Na concentration is, so Na is you can say very large in this region, okay. So now if you plot the charge density, if I plot the charge density now, so you can see that deep inside the semiconductor the charge density is still 0, right, they still cancel each other. What you have here is, in this region you have some Nd, this is the Nd, and in this region you have some, so this is sorry Na, this is Na and this is Nd, so this is positive, this is negative. This is what is depletion region. You have only ionic cores left, there are no free carriers there, and basically this area is equal to, so amount of charge which is here is equal to amount of charge which is there, alright. So if you now, since you have now a positive charge and negative charge separated with respect to each other, if you now plot the electric field goes as, so if I now plot electric field with a different color in this electric field goes as, if this is the interface, electric field goes as this is the electric field is 0 everywhere else, so this is the 0 electric field, but it is not 0 within the junction. So this electric field prevents further diffusion of carriers into both sides. So you have two counteracting forces. So you can say, when you do not apply electric field, when external electric field is, so you can say E external, or rather I can say when V applied, you just connected them, okay, then you can say the overall current is still equal to 0, overall current is equal to 0, Jn total is equal to 0, Jp total is equal to 0. However, Jn total is Jn diff plus Jn drift. Similarly here, this is equal to Jp diff plus Jp drift. These two balance each other, okay, and that is how you get. So these two balance each other, so you have a counteracting electric field which does not allow the flow of charges, as you can see from the band diagram. There is a diffusion gradient, but that diffusion gradient allows movement of charges right in the beginning. When they recombine, there is no further movement of charge, because then once they recombine in the vicinity of junction, then the ionic cores are left alone. When the ionic cores are left alone, then you have a positive charge density in one region, negative charge density in one region. As a result, you have set up an electric field, and this electric field will prevent the charges to move into each region further. So from this one can determine what is the built-in voltage, basically the delta V at the barrier. What is that? So we said that it is because of E is equal to EFN minus EFP, right, delta E, and this is equal to QVBI, okay. So this basically you can say QVBI is equal to EF of N minus EF of P side, and this is equal to, you can write the value for EFN. EFN is equal to EI plus KT ln Nd over Ni, small ni, and EF is basically EI minus KT of ln. This we saw in the semiconductor fundamentals, and if you now plug these together, this will become kT divided by Q ln of Na Nd divided by Ni square. So, if your dopant concentration is larger in semiconductors, then your built-in field will also be larger. And what this also suggests you, as we will see later on, when this happens, then the depletion region is also narrow. So, when the semiconductors are lightly doped, the electric field is smaller, the magnitude is smaller, as a result the field is the depletion region is wider. But when the field is, when the doping concentration is large, the built-in field is large, as a result the electric field is large, as a result the region is also narrower. So, that we will see in the perhaps in the next class. So, the question is, how wide is the depletion region, what is the electric field value inside it, what is the potential inside it. These are things which can be calculated for a PN junction easily, and analysis of these things we will do in the next class. Okay. So, what we have done today is we have just learned the basics of PN junction, what a PN junction is, what happens to band bending, band diagram when the so you can see here again I will just quickly suggest you that here you can see that on one hand we have, you can see that this is electron diffusion, this is hole diffusion. So, you will have of course a hole current here J P diff and electron diffusion. So, as a result you will have J N diff, all right. Counteracting these you have J N drift. So, you will have J N drift and you have here J P drift. This is because of this electric field which is set up inside at the junction. So, these two cancel each other, as a result you have 0 hole current and 0 electron current, as a result total 0 current in the semiconductor device when you do not apply a external field. So, because that external field it has to remain neutral, it can't give you any current unless you create carriers and move them. So, if you do not apply external field, they do not move, they do not go too far, they just go a little bit on each side, recombine and reach the equilibrium. Okay. So, we will do further analysis in the next few classes. Okay. Thank you.